Okay, so today I'm making drawers for the bus. Inside the cabinets need drawers. So this is the top drawer, this is the one just below it, and then there's a deep one, and then there's one that goes below the, a smaller one that goes below the stove. So 4 drawers. Yesterday I cut all the pieces, and in the process wanged my hand when the table saw kicked back one of these pieces of wood right into my hand. So safety first. The thing is dangerous. But today what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue the edges of all of these, and then I'm just going to use brad nailers to put them together. It's just a quick way to basically make the carcass of a drawer. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, back to my old tricks. I have my drawers made. There's one of them back there. And I'm going to be using this little piece of wood as a spacer. This is going to be what the rail is going to sit on so that it's flush with the edge of the cabinet. And that's what my rail, my drawer slides, are going to be attached to. So screw it in. Move the space to the other side, do the same thing, put the rail on, and attach the drawer. Alright, so there's one in. I use the drawer slide to know where the holes are so I avoid those spots. Put my spacer to the other side. Just like that. And there we go. Alright, so for the next one, I'm trying to get in between this line and this line that I've marked. And so I've got one of the other pieces that I'm using, plus a wider board. I'm just resting on top of the ones that I've screwed in. So this one is in position. It's a little bit arbitrary where I'm putting it, but it's basically pretty close to the center of where it needs to be. Okay, so this is the anchor point for the slides, which are going to go like that. I got all 3 on both sides in. So I'm ready for drawer slides and then drawers. So I did a test and put my drawers in to see how well they fit, and I've discovered that these walls are kind of skewed in a little bit. So while it's flush for about halfway in, once you get to the back, it gets too tight to push my drawers all the way in, which is going to create problems for them sliding out. So what I have to do is take these boards off, take the slides off, take the boards off, and then just kind of shave them down on that end. Just try to see if I can make it a little bit more narrow back there. Okay, so I thought of a solution that doesn't require me to get all new boards. I created a jig that has the skew that I need. So this is 90 degrees, and then in here we lose about a 1/4 inch as we go. So you can kind of see it. Oh, it's getting wider there, but closer as we get closer. So I'll put the board up against it and shave it down that way. And that should put the right skew into these boards without me having to think too hard. Okay, so the jig did a pretty good job. You can see how much skew we've got there going into it. Let's see how well that works. All right, so I got the bottom one in. This one's working just fine, like rolls in and out. Soft closes work. And so now I've got another spacer that I've just kind of laid across the top, goes all the way to the back, and put this other drawer just kind of resting on it. And then I'm taking my pencil and I'm marking about where these guys are. And then I am measuring to about the center. It's just about 3 inches to the center. So I'm going to make a line that goes down the side, each side at 3 inches from the bottom, and then put all the screws into the line. All right, so I have it lined up. There's a 3-inch line from the bottom there that I made using this tool. You can see the 3-inch mark right there. Just kind of put it flush against the bottom like that. Ran it down the length with my pen attached to it, so it kind of scribed a line 3 inches, and then place the rail on top of the line so that the holes can see the line, and then I drill into the line I screw into the line through the rail to attach it right on the line. The drawers are in. This one's a little bit tougher than the others, but it does do the soft close. So right under my stove I got a drawer. It's nice. Got a big drawer on the bottom, medium-sized drawer in the middle, and a little drawer on top for utensils and other things. That's it for now. Eventually we got to get the face plates to put on these, but I'm feeling really good about it. I made shaker cabinet faces using a tutorial that I found on Woodworker's Journal on YouTube. They do a much better job of explaining how to do this with a table saw than I ever could, so I'm just going to put a link for that video down in the description. I made all of these cabinet door and drawer faces myself. This is my first time doing it. It came out really well, actually. I'm pretty pleased with everything. But now I got to finish them. So I have a piece of Douglas fir that I use in the bus. It's like an armrest, and all I did was put shellac on it, and three coats of shellac, and it looked great. I'm going to try that again with these guys. It's because this is also Douglas fir. This is slightly lighter wood than what I started with in the other one, so I think that it'll really come out with like this nice golden color. At least that's what I'm going for. So over here I have a piece of a drawer face that didn't come out very good. It broke. These side pieces were a little too small, so I'm just going to be using a solid piece of wood in place of where this one was supposed to go. But this is basically built the same as those, so I'm going to use this as my test piece to make to see how it looks. So probably just going to actually only do half of it, so that I can compare the raw wood with the shellacked finish. And then depending on how it looks, if it's not something I'm satisfied with, then I might use the other side and do some experiments. So, alright, so first I've got 120 grit sandpaper because I don't have 100, but I don't feel like going to the store. But 100 is generally what people say to kind of open the pores, so I'm going to give this just kind of a little bit of a once over, work up some dust, and try to open the wood a little more. shellac that I'm using. It's wax-free Zinsser shellac. I've already mixed it up a little bit. And I've got my rag. So I'm just gonna get a little bit of it on there. Just like that. And just wipe it down. Making sure to hit all the nooks and crannies. For an even finish. And I'm only going to do the top side for now. Get some of that end grain. See how that will look. This stuff starts to get tacky pretty quick, so you got to kind of like get it on there and then stop touching it. Okay, so a fresh coat, and you can kind of see the difference. It's definitely a little bit darker, but it does look a little bit more golden. The grain on the wood is a little bit higher contrast than the raw wood. I think it'll be a good fit, but we'll let this sit for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, and then hit it with another coat and see how that looks. I'm guessing it'll be 3 coats. I'm also guessing I'm going to need to go to the store and get more shellac to be able to do all of these. So we'll see. Okay, so the first coat's dry. I'm not so sure I like this 100 grit feel. So I'm going to go actually finer. I know that other people have feelings about that, but the countertop was done with 200 grit or 220 grit. So I'm going to go up to 180 and see if I like the feel of that a little more. And then do another coat. Not going too thick. It's too thick, it might get splotchy. Alright, so let's take a look at what we got. This is second coat. Still wet. Looks pretty good. More orange. A lot less pale. I think it's getting toward that color that I'm looking for. So I'll let this dry for another hour. Come back, do another coat. And we'll see how that looks. Alright, so I finished up the third coat. It's drying right now, but I like the way it looks and I like the way it feels at the 180 grit sanding. So that's what it's gonna be. Gonna let this dry and then work on the other ones. Do it for real. Just shellac, wax-free shellac. All day, but I got 3 coats of shellac, both sides of all of these doors, and they're ready to be installed. Next step is going to be drilling out the holes for the hinges and mounting them inside the bus. I've got my Forstner bit here in my drill press, set to go down to exactly the depth that I need. Done a few test things and I think I'm ready to go. So I'm going to start putting hinges on. I got to drill some holes or drill some indentations like this into those. Time for some measuring. Okay, so yesterday I thought I was done with the kitchen, just a couple little things, but Julene insists that she wants to have a spice rack in there's like a little void between the two cabinets down at the bottom, and so this will be a slide out spice rack. And so I'm going to be cutting a base out of this. What was a 4x4 is now already shaved down to the width of the space of the void. And I'm going to be doing basically the same thing that I did for my secret compartment. I am creating a space. I'm going to cut out, that's basically going to be the width of the drawer slide plus a half-inch piece of plywood plus a little extra for clearance. So it'll basically be this cut into the wood here, and then again on the other side over here, and this will be my base. Okay, so I've got the sliders attached. Next I need to make the frame of the piece that's going to move up over the top. So I'm going to get a 3/4 inch piece of plywood that's going to be this distance apart, and then 1/2 inch pieces of plywood that will be attached to either side, and we'll hold that up. So when this whole thing comes out, you won't see any of the hardware. It'll be hidden, and it should look nice and neat. Okay, so we built the top part. It's just a big H-shaped piece of wood, and installed the drawer slides on it. And so now, it's hard to do this one-handed, but it comes out, slides back in.
Okay, as long as it fit.
Okay, so we've assembled the drawer and kind of it's sitting in place now. Eric is removing the cabinet doors so that we have better access to where we need to screw in.
I'm worried this one's gonna be too much.
Yep, too much. That's good. All right, so we got the spice rack screwed in down at the bottom. It actually came out really flush and nice. So I just need to make a front face for it to match these guys and put a pole, and it's done. Nice little spice rack. Yeah, I think it was worth the effort. Alright, so this is the last piece for the kitchen to call it 100, well, call it 99% complete because it's just a couple of other things. But we're going to put the drawer pull on this spice rack that fits in this void space, and that'll be good. Alright, and there you have it. Down in the void. Got the pull. Open it up. Spice rack. Pretty sweet. Everything matches. That's pretty much my kitchen build. Last few items, we got a little bit of trim to put up here, and we got to add the trim up there to hide all those wires, and then we got to do the toe kicks after we do the flooring. But that is it.